Hey everyone, how are you? So we have 4 minutes before we just jump to our webinar. So it's the right time to join. Hey everyone, how are you? It's a great time to mute my iPad. So just for those of you who take part in the very first time in some online webinars, there is a 30 minutes delay before you write some questions, and I see them in an online chat. So wouldn't be surprised if I answer with the same delay in 30 minutes. So it's a great time to find out if anyone have ever played Jenga before. Just give me a plus in the chat if you'd be the one who, find it similar to build all those blocks, like, data sets in order to prepare data and prepare data for reports or dashboards. As for me, every time then, we need to replace some block in our reporting. It could look like in a photo, yeah, you have to replace it and finger crossed to keep it alive and stable. Oh, it's a really curious question in the private chat. So the question is, how is on a photo? Well, so it's like characters from the Big Bang Theory TV show. To be honest, I believe that everyone who knows SQL know this TV show as well. Well, another great question, if I may, to share to you. So for those of you who already shared, could you please send me your age? On what age did you see Google Analytics in a very first time? I'm just curious. So there is no any kind, any age report in the webinar analytics. So I'm wondering how old are you when you start working with Google Analytics in the very first time? As for me, I was let me say, like about 29, I guess, 29 years old. Yep, it was a long time ago. Urchin. It's curious if anyone started working with Google Analytics, then it calls Urchin. Well, so it looks like we're on time and we're ready to start. Please feel free to send your questions at any time. Let me start with a short intro. My name is Vlad Flux. I'm leading Avax. We're a product company, and we're here to share our insights, how to prepare data in order to migrate from GA360 and GA Universal data schemas into Google Analytics 4. As a marketing company, so we're focused on marketing analytics and proud to be the number one by GT Crowd in two categories: analytics, e-commerce analytics, and marketing analytics. We face a lot with the questions and challenges how to migrate all the reporting into GA4. And during this webinar, I'm going to share some sequels, approaches, and a way to handle it without headache. So let's start with dashboard. So it's always great to start with the data, with the artifact that we're going to build during our process. So let's imagine a second that you have some dashboards. It's a simple example that probably some of colleagues of yours from marketing working with. And what is the most important part in this dashboard is seasonality metrics. So those marks represent the comparison of existing data of some metrics with previous one from previous data range. And once we have to replace our data source from Google Analytics Universal to Google Analytics 4, we face with a few challenges. So here's just the visualization how data should be replaced. As you can see, for instance, for the August and September, we collect data and rely on Google Analytics Universal. And after that, we have a switching period. We would like to switch our reporting to GA4. And during this webinar, I'm going to share the best practices to make it smooth and without headache and needed to rewrite all the sequels. By the way, may I ask, have you already tried Google BigQuery? Just give me a plus or minus in case if you haven't started working with Google BigQuery at this moment. Please feel free to type it in a comment. So let's, by the way, can we jump? Yeah, so here's a live dashboard in Data Studio. I believe most of you already familiar, not just with Data Studio, but with the Looker Studio. So we would like to provide these dashboard to marketers and let them to pick the data range that they would like to analyze. And we would like to make it live, right? So we'd like to drill down, to segment it, right? And the most complicated, one of the most complicated part is to provide data in a unified format for Google Analytics Universal and Google Analytics 4. For this example, I assume that data would be union on a 15th of September. So here's a period, then we start rely on GA4, and before September 15th, we will collect data from GA Universal. So let's back to the presentation and let's have a look how can it works in our case. Well, so first of all, let's summarize and recap our context. So what makes it complicated? First of all, as most of you already, I believe, hear about, Google Analytics Universal will be going away in July next year. For GA360 customers, the paid version of Google Analytics, there is a longer switching period that recently was extended to July 1st. However, it's just a matter of time, then all the reporting have to be upgraded to new data schemas. So there are two main challenges in the process to migrate our reporting. The first one is to match metrics from GA Universal and GA4. As you probably already know, the way how GA4 and GA Universal consider and calculate the traditional metrics is a way different. So you cannot just to put all the metrics on the same chart and expect that the line goes smooth. The second challenge is that the data schemas in the Google BigQuery are significantly different as well. So Google Analytics Universal rely on session-based data schemas, and Google Analytics 4 based on an event-based approach. So as a result, we have to figure out the way to keep our dashboards with year-over-year metrics and seasonality trends alive. Well, here's the challenge. We have dozens of legacy SQL queries that we have to keep working in order to provide reliable reports for our marketing teams. By the way, if you have a chance to calculate the number of SQL queries that you have to maintain in order to to support reporting in your team, I just wonder, because recently we work with the customer who has thousands queries that are built on top of Google Analytics Universal schemas. It would be curious to hear how many reports are how many SQL queries are in your projects. Well, so let's start to figure out the way to make it easier. I believe most of you find yourself in the same situation. Then you open the SQL that some of colleagues of yours, probably the one who is already working on another organization, or it could be you, however, a few months ago, wrote some SQL queries, and now you have to fix it, adjust it, and without expecting to break anything around. It's hard, I understand. So it's hard to test and debug everything that can be impacted by even mirror fixes in SQL queries. So let's jump to the solution. So our approach and our way to handle reporting, no matter in which domain those reporting is going to be built, is relying not on the raw data, but on modeled one. I'll share the simple example how reports can be upgraded and built on top of the model data. Here's an example of a kind of model that's built on top of Google Analytics data. As you can see, there are a few objects here, like sessions, transactions, page, devices. And the most interesting and important part here, that the structure of those objects are unconnected and irrelevant to the data sources. So it doesn't matter which data sources are you going to use to fulfill those objects with live data. It could be Matama, Adobe, Google Analytics, no matter what kind of data sources are. The model keep the same, because data model will represent business itself and represents the reality as you working with as a business. So let's see how it looks like in the real world. Instead of write SQL on top of the raw data, for instance, GA sessions that are exported from Google Analytics Universal, or event tables that are exported from GA4, you can build first modeled data that represents some objects and entities from the real world, like sessions, users, and pages. And those tables are flattened, and they really like easier to query them and work on them because they includes all the assumptions, all the business context that you worry about in order to build particular reports or dashboards. So there are a few really important reasons why I believe you have to look closer and consider to build your reports on a modeled data, not on a raw one. So the first reason is that the data is like a fruit. You have to clean it before you blend it. So most of you who working with have been working with raw data know that you have to first of all figure out how to filter the bots, some duplicated transactions, and I'll put all those possible reasons here. For instance, for our organization, you would like to create this single source of truth. You would like to avoid copy pasting business logics. For instance, I believe every data analyst says with a request from the marketers, hey, we would like to adjust or improve our channel grouping rules, right? And do it historically. Or we would like to define our new and returned users criteria, not in a way how it works in Google Analytics, but on our like own way. For instance, we would like to consider as returned only the users who make a purchase during the last like 6 months, for instance. So all those data transformations and data preparations activities could make on the report level. So it means that you have to take care about copy pasting this business logic to every single report. Or you can do it once, just on a step once you build this modeled data and prepare a single source of truth. And last but not the least, write and build reports on top of the model data is a way easier compared to dealing with nested fields, record fields, and write some window complicated functions or even JSON extract functions. It's not the easy way to deal all the data, right? So complicated and multi-lines SQL queries every time. So I hope I give you some clue and reasons to have a look closer to the data modeling process and find your own advantages here. Let's jump to the exact examples and data schemas. As I said, we start with raw data. Here's examples how raw data looks like. For instance, Google Analytics Universal is like snapshot from Google BigQuery for Universal Google Analytics and for Google Analytics 4. So as I said, the data schema is completely different, and we have to to find a way to build the reports and to connect these data to our data studio reports. And before I jump to the next stage of data modeling, let me answer to the questions. Okay, thank you for this feedback. Let's discuss some other topics, and I hope you find them useful as well. So it would be great to hear your questions and feedback regarding to the exact activities and exact advices based on our based on our experience, the best way to simplify the data preparation process is to build those model tables. So here's a way how can they look like. Here's the list of the objects that I just shared on the previous slide. I mean, device, events, and as you can see, the list of those objects the list of those objects are the same for Google Analytics 360 and Google Analytics 4. It means that you can connect your dashboard query with those data with the same queries. So the structure of this query is the same. It's super easy, and it's like easy to understand how to query these data, because because the way how you query it is rely on the data and the same structure. So another kind of question is explain session conversion in GA4. Okay, it's a great question. Thanks for that. Let me switch to the documentation page, and I'll be happy to answer. So for those of you who are looking for examples of SQL queries that like help you and lead you to those tables, you can find them here. So it's publicly accessible help center. And regarding to the conversion rate, here's the SQL that prepare sessions table. So here's a sessions table, and here's the list of the metrics and dimensions that created on top of the raw data. And with this table, you'll get the session ID as unique ID for each session. And also you have another object, transactions. So here's a list of all the objects, and another one is transactions. Once you run those queries on a regular basis, you get two tables. The first one for transactions and the second one for sessions. And the only one step left is to divide number of transactions to number of sessions. That's it. But this way you get the conversion rate that they are looking for. Thanks for this question. And just to recap, for those of you who are not familiar with Help Center, you can just click to the transformation and feel free to copy it and use it for your own project. All those examples of gorgeous SQL queries that we tested for a while for our projects in order to prepare those tables, the flattened one that I called the model table. Here's a list of those tables. Well, let's summarize the pros and cons of this approach. So the pros is speed up ad hoc analysis. The second pros is increase report explainability. So you don't need to debug every complex query anymore. You can rely on source of truth for the sessions, transactions, or events data. Also, you can avoid copy pasting data of preparation logic. For instance, if you would like to define channel grouping rules, you can define it once in channel grouping objects. And there are some cons, obviously. So model data is a kind of new one more middle layer. So it takes time, to adjust it, and you have to monitor and debug it as well. And complex join for normalization and cleaning data have to be maintained as well. So in order to simplify and help you handle these cons, we shared all of our SQLs that we wrote a time ago in our help center. I just shared a minute ago please feel free to use it and send your feedback here. Well, and the last but not least is extra data processing. So in order to convert data in modeled format, you have to query it. My personal advice is to use partitioned table. So with partitioned table on a data, with a data dimension, you're able to update only the data that you need, not to to rewrite all the huge table and pay for all the processed data and gigabytes or even terabytes data in your Google BigQuery. So you can just upgrade and update only the partition that you need, and that's it. So it would be a way cost efficient than to rewrite all the tables. So Olivia, one more question. So does GA Universal is going to be complete suspended? Yeah, so Google Analytics is going to be turned off and going away. It's just a matter of time. According to Google announced, that date is differs for Google 360 and standard version users. And you can find the public announcement by this link I shared in a few minutes ago. So here's a date for standard version, and here's a date for GA360 customers. Yeah, you are not the only one who prefer to use GA Universal. There are a lot of advantages and ready-to-use queries that are, a way like used for data analysts. However, the new reality and all the new features going to be rolled out and implemented in Google Analytics 4 only, no doubt here. And from my personal perspective, there are a lot of advantages in Google Analytics 4 as well. So you shouldn't consider it as disadvantages only. For instance, event-based collection approach deliver you a lot of extra features and up and web cross reports, for instance. So I wouldn't say that it's should be disadvantage only. Well, let's recap it here. So in order to upgrade your reports for GA4, our advice and the way that we are happy to share is to build those modeled tables that are easier to understand, that are reliable and trustable by everyone in organization. In order to make it easier for everyone to build those tables, we'll share those SQL queries in our help center. Please feel free to copy paste it and use it for your own project. For those of you who are interested to set up and orchestrate those tables and work as a result on your own project, just feel free to schedule the demo. I'll be happy to share the way how to make it easier and how to avoid some extra cost with Google BigQuery. It's takes just a few minutes to find the best way that works for you. As far as I see, we have a few minutes left, and I'll be happy to answer any kind of question regarding to GA4 upgrade. Just feel free to ask me in the comments. Yeah, if someone is interested to get these reports that work on a Google Analytics and Google Analytics 4 and Google Analytics Universal data at the same time, you can also email us or schedule the short demo, and we'll share all the details how this dashboard works and what you should do to prepare those tables on your own projects on your own data. Well, thank you very much for your questions and for your time. We'll be happy to answer any questions that probably left. If you watch this presentation and recording, feel free to mail us, and hope to talk to you soon. Thank you.